play this beautifully and this well when you both feel like shit, comme de la merda, you feel like that. Well, I can imagine how well when you're playing when you're really in form. I mean, you're in pianistic form, of course, in musical form, because your minds are always there, even with the colds. Yeah, bravissimo. Yeah. Yeah. As a team, also improved since last year. Yes, very good. I don't have too much to tell you. I think there are a few basic things which I would say, more in terms of exciting an audience, because I think you really play beautifully together. Every profession, it's very high professional level, everything is there. You know it, of course, yes. So, but what will make your careers is if you can share with the listeners, your audience, your gut excitement about playing. Also, I don't know if that you can do immediately. I know you both have quiet, very decent people. You are, I know you already, very good people, very sincere. But you have to also be able on stage to show your enthusiasm more. Yes.
But do you mean when we play?
When you play.
Also with the face or?
No, not with the face. It's not a question of smiling to each other. You don't need to do that. But just, I don't say you have to move more either, but I don't know, something in the body language, which you can feel yourself to get more involved physically. Some pianists do it, some pianists don't. Like Michelangelo was very quiet. But he was another story, because he had this special aura of magic and phantasm. It was like a ghost on the stage, you know. I heard him only once when I was 16 years old, and I never forgot it, because it was a unique experience. Other pianists like Rudolf Serkin, they moved a lot. It was like a religious Jew praying, you know, like this in the synagogue. Yes, like this. So you don't have to do that. But just physically, or addressed to the keyboard. And you know, if you feel some excitement, don't be afraid to lose control. That you feel a sudden forte movement. You know, like in the bass, sometimes you can give a little bit more. For instance, just move. Yeah, in the last movement, for example. Yes, these were. As you make your crescendo each, you know, sometimes more like this than so controlled. You know, you can give a little bit more on the bass. Even don't be afraid to cover him sometimes when he's doing some thing like that. It doesn't matter. You know, you can cover him. It's okay. I think you should be as well. I think only experience will do that. You will know on stage one day after you play 30 concerts, then you're going to look to each other. Oh, wait, you're. José, sorry, okay. I'm trying to, let me see your faces. This is really hard to tell. Maybe you have a little bit more meat here, a little bit more, and then a little bit more thin. Here, wait, José and Óliver. You'll know, you'll look at each other, oh, José, Óliver will tell you, couldn't you give me a little bit more bass here or something, you know what I mean? Or we can be a bit more wild or exuberant or extravagant, you know what I mean? You can be a little bit more. Also another thing which that's rather easy to get. That you can turn on the gas, step on the gas. I don't mean to go faster, that's not what I mean. But to share your real excitement about the music, so it goes past professionalism. But in a way, it's part of professionalism too. Like with Serkin, people thought of him in the US, oh, this is so great, revered professor at Curtis Institute and great intellectual musician. Maybe so, maybe not so. The point was that he was a great stage performer. And he knew how to, you know, sometimes with the, you know, language. Maybe for some people it was excessive, but with him it was sincere. When he played the Valkyrie Fantasy, I saw, I mean, he was like, and of course it did excite the audience. You know what I mean? So it's not that you have to do these things, but if spontaneously you feel to be a little bit less physically controlled at the instrument, just to get a little bit more, not to show the audience, but because you really feel the music that way, to explode, you can do it. You have so much digital control. You don't need to worry to miss notes if you play a little bit more like this. One time Charles Rosen told me, I was doing Leeds competition, and then after second round I was out. And then we could meet with the jury members. You know who Charles Rosen is, of course. He wrote these great books, The Classical Style and all of that. Brilliant musician. For me, too much head musician. But a great intellectual, of course. But he told me, well, Alan, he was telling me I was moving too much in the competition. I said, how about Sirkin? He says, well, yeah, Sirkin, I told him once. He says, I told Rudy, if you move less, you won't miss the chord and you won't get such a hard sound. Which musician moved you more, Charles Rosen or Rudolf Serkin? You know Serkin's recordings?
Yeah, but no.
Never heard him in concert. Of course, now you were too young.
But in a lesson with theory, speaking about Schubert and Mozart.
With Rosen?
Yes.
Yeah, but Serkin, never.
No.
You see, he was a very communicative personality. He may have been a little bit awkward or a bit not quite so grazioso, but in the real heroic pieces, like Appassionata or Emperor Concerto, also Fourth Concerto, fantastic, Choral Fantasy Beethoven, or Wanderer Fantasy, these kind of pieces, nobody could bring them off like he did. Other pianists could play more brilliant than him, but could really bring them off. So I think for you, I'm speaking about not only this piece, but as a general thing, for between you and your public, you will, I'm certain, have many concerts because you're a very good group. But you'll have still many more concerts and connect with a larger public when you could communicate on a gut, visceral level more with them. So allow yourselves to be more joyful in your approach, not only professional. But it's part of professionalism to give joy to the public too. You know? So I think that. And then another aspect, a kind of cousin aspect to that, is like in the first movement, to allow yourselves to be a bit more relaxed on stage and spontaneous. Because I feel your extreme concentration that you need to play so perfectly together. But I think at a certain moment, maybe when you have more experience on stage, you will find, like when you hear Martha and Nelson Freire playing together. Or even I heard this summer in Lugano between Martha and Eduardo Hubert. You know Eduardo? He's an Argentine pianist who lives in Italy. And Eduardo arranged, you should find those arrangements of 3 Argentine tangos for 2 pianos that he made. Fantastic arrangements, 3 fantastic pieces that don't repeat ad nauseum like a lot of the tangos do, always comes back. And no, these are 3 fantastic ones. And Eduardo arranged them to perfection, and they played them on stage like it was really second nature, completely second nature. So you should rely more on your second nature, I feel. And to allow, to let the listener feel that it's not such hard work for you. But that's maybe only something that you will get after playing a few more years together. Well, you already played, the chamber music is incredible, the ensemble is really amazing what you guys can do. But I don't yet feel that extreme relaxation and spontaneity that comes maybe from playing many concerts together. So you have to maybe play more to get that. That cannot be forced. It has to come little by little as you play more together. So, it's fantastic how you play. It's great. I don't have anything really to criticize. Just relax the way you play so that we feel that everything that's happening in this music, that it's a kind of like genius improvisation of Ravel, which is how great composers are really composing. I mean, they're not sitting down with the draftsman's, rule to make everything perfect from the beginning. They have an idea. I like what Hindemith said. Maybe I shared it with you last time. What Hindemith said creation was for a composer, or it can be for a cineast, the film director, or something which is conceptual in art. That imagine he made a metaphor of traveling through a field, that was getting very dark before a tempest. It was really dark, even it was in the middle of the afternoon. And then all of a sudden, lightning strikes, boom! And for about 2 seconds, the entire scenery is lit up, and then it goes dark again. And with the great genius composer Bach, Beethoven, or our artist Rembrandt, they remember every detail of what was only lit up for 1 or 2 seconds. And that's what art is. It's the remembrance of an original, creative bang or impulse. And then the composer, the really gifted composer, can remember all the little details of that field, of that pasture, where this grass was, where this leaf was, etc., or where the notes were. So, but it is inspiration. It's definitely inspiration. I mean, even though Einstein said, genius is really 5% inspiration, 95% transpiration, hard work. Still, that 5% of inspiration is worth probably as much as the 95% of perspiration. So you need both. Don't think that's enough just to be perfect or even to be very musical, as you both are, to play perfectly. It's not enough. You will find that, and even for you, I'm not only talking about having a big career. Even for yourselves, you will be hungry for more at a certain moment. And to play with a little bit more that kind of extreme relaxation. And don't think that it's only possible for the great geniuses like Martha. It may be, but still, I think at a certain moment you will realize it may be more than now. Because now I'm saying it to you, this is my feeling. Probably I'm saying it because I have really almost nothing to criticize, so I have to find something to tell you. But it's not only that, I really do feel that you can just relax a little bit more and play a bit more off the cuff, like put it in your pocket. Can you try a little bit now? I mean, I think it can't be just brought on like that, but I don't know. Try it. Don't think so much how physically you're going to do the things, and maybe instead of doing this, that you come. And don't forget, all that preparation is in the fingertip. You don't necessarily have to do it by arriving early over the keys. Yeah. Try it. And then be softer and more from a distance. Take a risk, it's okay. And the left hand, even softer. Almost, don't worry if a note doesn't sound. Don't worry. Yes, much better. Yes, and you can make more crescendo because actually there's a big difference, Óliver, between triple piano and piano. It's okay, don't worry. You'll fix that. You're a gifted pianist, you'll fix it. Yes, that's it. Does he ask for the number here?
Yeah.
He asks, Ravel asks for it here? No.
No.
You can use it in the beginning, but then towards the end of the crescendo, you can lift and go to tre corda. Yes. Too loud. That's it. Magnifique. Oh, that's very mysterioso. That's it. Yes, I find it better. And then again, yes, toward, yeah. Well, don't worry about exactly where, because in every piano it's going to be a little bit different, right? That's the point that you have to realize. You can work things out 1,000% in your playing. I do so myself. I do it myself. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. But then you have to allow, it's like those Chinese puzzles that have 16 squares in it. Every square is filled in with a piece of plastic except the 16th. If you have no room to maneuver, then there's nothing creative in it. So allow that little bit of extra crazy inspiration, and then you look at your brother, or you look at your brother with the devil, look of devil in your eye. Oh, I'm going to do something different than what we practiced. Come, try it. Come, you guys, try it. chord so soon. That will be part of your spontaneity, not to worry that you won't control it, the sound. Because I see you physically preparing very early that chord. I can just see Martha doing it. What are the notes there? And not, because I think you do too much of that kind of thing, both of you. Or trust your control. Off the cuff. Like magic, like waving magic dust. Sprinkle it. Try from here. If I look at the score, he writes mezzo forte here and only mezzo forte there. But don't be forte, go falsetto. Yeah. And also, I think you waited too long here between this group and that. No, you didn't do that before. Maybe now, to get a different color, you wanted to change it. Yeah, but then the continuity was a little bit missing. Okay, can you maybe just take it from here? These are two or fine. Now it was better than before. Your hands were maybe a little bit cold, or your piece was bobbing. I don't know. Can you play? Well, you're controlling every note. I know you have the fantasy, but it's like you're doing just like a harp figure. Don't control. Yes. Plug it from three. But I still think you're doing 3 plus 4. You're doing top or no. You're almost doing like 16th notes and then 32nd note. You figured out you were rubato too carefully. Just like a wind. The wind has no rhythm. Even if there are small differences in the timing, it won't be quite as structured as what you do. Yes, we need a little less structure because your playing is very structured. And normally that's a thing to applaud. In the conservatories, you know, if it's a final exam in conservatory, you get 100 plus, you know. But on the stage is another thing. It's a real life experience on the stage. And the listener comes to hear red-blooded human beings whom they can take a beer with and would want to take a beer with you. You know what I mean? The let your hair down. Just play as the thing is, as the wind strikes. That's why Martha's such a great success, because she gives the feeling of really being a human being on stage, not just a polished professional. That's part of her genius, of course, you know. So, yeah, let's try it again. It's better, it's better. Breathe. And there also, in the change to the 4 from the 6th. I hear very much, you know, in Mozart, you also sometimes have these, what is that at the end of the Fantasia? And then at the yeah, he writes it in that way, but probably one wouldn't really play it completely in that way. There has to be some feeling of improvisation in it, not completely. So, in a way, sometimes at the conservatories, they do too good a job of teaching solfège, and to make us feel that everything must be that way as it's in the classroom. You know what I mean? And that's trying to get out of that. No, I know you are limited because here you're playing in 6. And I'm aware of that. But still, the feeling of a little bit of rubato should just anyway flow. You know. I'm trying to get it from here. That's it. Much better. Perfect. There too. Some creative inequality. What Yehudi Menuhin spoke, you know the book, The Unfinished Journey, his first autobiography. It's a wonderful book. I advise everybody to read that book. And then he speaks about this top-down way of practicing, not too structured way of practicing. Let the ideas hit you. If you have such figures like this or like this, some little bit of inequality, not in the control of the touch, but especially in the rhythmic fantasia of how to treat, you know, something like this will give some goosebumps, you know, how do you say, chair de poule? Yes, this is very important, you know. If the listener doesn't feel that, they won't come back, no matter how much they admire your playing, you know. Okay, anyway, think about this. I liked very much the Malagueña. Very much. I thought that was really great. But look, everything you played extremely well. That had, I thought, more joy. Well, of course, it's a different kind of movement from the first movement. I'm a little bit tempted to ask you what your fingering is for that, because I heard a little bit too much audible control. Okay. Can you show me how you're doing it? From here? Play it again slowly for me so I can see what you're doing. Just, yeah, okay, do it again. The beginning's fine. And then, it's probably more the yes. ever do a Harpo Marx fingering like that? You know Harpo Marx, the Marx brothers. Marx brothers. Can you explain to them who the Marx brothers are? Marx brothers. Yeah.
Yes.
Chico. If you can find a fingering that inspires you less 1 3 1 3 1 2 tomorrow, then you can. If you have very good fingers, you could do something like that with great equality, I'm sure. Let me write down here. Oh, that was just. What did I do? What did I do here? For instance, first this 3 4 maybe even better. Yes, yeah, I found something even better. I found something even better. I'll put it on the bottom, okay? I show you just a minute. 5. This must be anyway for the harp. In the orchestra, is that for harp? This passage?
Yes.
So I show you. I write it here. 3, 4, 5, 1, like this. And again to 5. This is like a list finger, you know what I mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2, 3. It's more in the nature of the passage, let's say. Something like that. It's better than the more controlled, so-called controlled fingering. You know, I would advise them to use be more. It will sound more like a harp. Okay. Can you play the beginning of the habanera? Generally, I liked it, but there's some small thing. Wait a little bit longer agogically here on this to hold the tenuto a little bit longer. And this is not typical. This should be a little bit more accented. Yeah, and not too fast. It's bum bum. And sometimes you make the mistake of playing the 32nd note, like here. You do, and it's on. Can you play together from here? It's like Schumann, you know. It's not. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 8 of them. It's not. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slower the 16th. It's more deliberate because with the habanera there's something very proud in it. But if you, but it becomes a little bit too snappy. So, can you play that again? Now it's a bit too early. You should allow a little bit more. This is well placed. You have to allow a little bit more time, before this. Don't hurry at all. Deliberate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's it. This is it. time before this, not to be rushed in that note. That's better. Can I stand here? Give a little more. Come on, wait. Completely relaxed, yes. Not going anywhere. At the center, this is just like in the Alvarado. The middle part of it, it's the same thing. And not. Allow always, when you have nothing here, allow a little extra time. A little bit of extra. And this, yeah. And yeah, last, that's what is that, very relaxed, the rhythm. Yes. Not serré, you know what I mean? Opposite of that. Too fast. That's, wait, yes, much better, that's much better. Same thing, now it's the opposite, you have to give, Óliver, give José more time. That's it. That's it, yeah. Okay, that's actually my only criticism in this movement. Other than that, I could feel the swaying and the... So, you try to begin with the... Why don't you keep the pedal very deep?
Yes, yes, only when you have to play the accents.
Play again. Try not to change the pedal and very deep pedal. I'm just curious.
From the beginning?
Yeah, from the beginning. I prefer that. Not too brilliant. No troppo brillante in the crescendo. Like the wind, like the wind. And begin more pianissimo in the crescendo also. Because it can be too loud. Try again. Have you tried? Can I try? I think it's too clear. You have to play it softer, I think, overall. The accent you can do if you want. That's it. The right hand is too loud. That's much better. That's it. That's it. More mysterioso. And go on. It's very good. Just
here to simulate a little more pretty.
if you feel it, it's fine. It's fine. But I think
Not too far.
this should be muy delicate. Don't try for yet to be explicitly brilliant, as some Spanish dances can be, yes, but just suggest the brilliance, but from far away. Can you try that? That's it. Where do you practice? At home? You have a studio at home where you practice? How is the acoustic there? Is it dry?
Yeah.
Well, very dry. I think you have to imagine when you practice a big space with a lot of echo. A space where you can do more things, you know what I mean? Of course, in a dry acoustic, and does it sound very loud? And then it inhibits you.
The sound is very open.
Yeah. But now you're starting to play more and more concerts, yes?
Yeah.
So you find that every acoustic is different,
Yes.
right? And you have to adapt. So very often, well, I think you're both very sensitive musicians. So of course, being very sensitive, you're always sensitive to make it too loud. You're afraid to make it too loud. But there's, in the other way, if you're always too sensitive to making something too loud, that means you may not develop enough contrast in the sound between pianissimo and fortissimo. So I think in mezzo forte you don't have to worry too much. You can be a little bit frightening to come out a little bit more. You play from here? More staccato. Yum. Bum. Maybe out of the pedal. Yum. Bum. You can jump a little bit more, even though it's pianissimo. And a bit more frank than that forte. Like a sudden burst of lightning or wind that takes you. A bit stronger, a little bit stronger. And make sure that you lift José the unicorn pedal to give him more brilliance. I think you did it. You lift your unicorn?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay, right there. Bang it out, punch it out a little bit more. Don't be afraid to cover it up. At the top, he's going to be heard. Yes, can you play right there at the top of the page? Punch out a different rhythm. Show us the different rhythm of here. Two accents. Bum, 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 bum. Yes, yes. Try again. That of course you have to do. Also, one thing, Óliver, this was maybe too pianissimo. I didn't really hear the notes here. So that you can play it. You can give a little bit more. Good, okay, again from here. Capriccio Espagnole. You know for solo piano? Yeah, and then the middle part. So more capriccioso, Óliver. Con fantasia, yes. Not yeah, right here, please. Sometimes to build the structure, you have to ignore things in the or text. You know what I mean? It's just necessary. It's necessary. Ignore the pedal more, give them more. They need more brilliance there. You tried 4 bars before, if that's convenient. Yeah. In the melodia, you're too soft here. It's too mezzo forte. It's too much like this. Much more. Yeah. Show the harmonies, the interesting harmonies. Try again, top of the page. You know, you can leave out one note of the, you can do instead of, because I think you're missing the chord because you're a little bit worried not to play all the notes in the repeated notes. But these chords, they have to be heard. You know, it's important. It's the only. Half tempo. Yeah. Yeah, pa pa pa. Yeah. We have to hear the harmony. Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, because now I understand it. You thought it was perhaps unprofessional that we wouldn't hear every single da-ka-da-ka-da-ka-da, you know, with the trumpets, you know. This, of course it's important, but we really need the harmony. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I would use a lot of pedal work too. And then from here, and orchestra, you have to be orchestra. May I try this, please? Okay, can we try? The only place I wouldn't use pedal would be on the 2 staccati. But overall, you can use a lot of pedal. Like, make sure it's sustained. But then you only get, keep the pedal. I know you cannot do it in the one, but. Harmonies are important. We need not only melody, but try to bring up all the voices equally there. Yeah. And of course, you don't have to play super fortissimo if you use more pedal too, and play a bit more sostenuto on all the voices, so you hear more harmony. Try it to moderato tempo. Take the complete complete pedal from the bottom. Yeah, that's much better. And then no pedal and bum, bum. Yeah. That's it. Slow. Yes. That's it. Good. That's it. And go on from here in tempo.
I'm not playing
Doesn't matter.
because I'm going to force him to down.
Yeah, to slow down. I understand. You don't want to. Okay, in tempo. Show me what you do. Downbeat because he writes triple forte on that chord. And we need. And I just hear. Yes. That's it. Let's just give it a punch, you know. Yes. Yeah. So you have to practice it, and then that'll come on. Good. Okay. So and this is very beautiful. Yeah. This is lovely. You know that isn't. Can you play the beginning so they know what I'm talking about? Just play the beginning of this section. Where is that from? Isn't that from Debussy's Violin Piano Sonata? I think from the last movement. It's from, yes, he lifts it directly. It's, I think, I'm not sure in the same key, I've forgotten whether I played the piece, but it was a long time ago. But it's very similar, go listen. And of course, it's in homage to Debussy, I'm sure. So, or Debussy lifted it from this. When was this? 1907? Yes, Debussy lifted it from this, of course. Because that sonata is one of the last pieces Debussy wrote. He wrote it in 1917 or 1918. This is 1907. Yes? This is, yes, 1907. So this is quite early work of Ravel. I think Debussy lifted it in homage to Ravel. I'm completely wrong. Well, you play it beautifully. I think it's marvelous. So on the return, I noted something, wait, on page 29. Yes, you, again, I think, José, you can play louder, simply more pedal and a little bit louder to help build up, especially in the big climax here. Yes, can you maybe just take a little bit forward from, I don't know, from here, possibly, right here? This is your brother. You don't want him to give me a punch in the face. I'll take the play from here. Oh, yeah. Okay. But build up your sound. Help him. You think you're gonna help him not to cover him, but he needs the build up. Otherwise, he has to work so hard himself to make the effective crescendo. Am I right, Óliver? Okay, so try it again from here. Not so dry as that, but little touches of pedal. That's it. The last three doesn't mark accent, but I think you need it a little bit on the last three. This one, that one, and that one to help the build up. We try it again from here. No ritenuto at all. Go through all the way to here. Maybe just a little bit of caesura before that to give a double accent. You need a little time, I do agree, but not in that way that you did it before. No broadening a la Brahms, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Try it again. More punch. I would say triple forte here. But something about pedaling, it's just like in Ravel's arrangement of fête, of Debussy. You know, this kind of dry point kind of thing, like rubbing sandpaper together. Don't use pedal for two measures, and then start little by little to add the pedal, I would suggest. So after the first chord, then no pedal until here, or something like that. It could be here, but you know, I would try at the beginning really sandpaper. You know, try it again. One pedal from here to there, basically. Well, with a little bit of vibration, but not much. And that way you build more kind of symphonic sound. Then you have three different types of pedal. The no pedal at all, the subtle pedal, and then the less subtle pedal, which brings in the bah, and then a little pedal caesura here, bah, and then bring yum, and then you can come back, of course, yes. Okay, let's try it again. Right from here. You can lift the pedal here and not use it again. How about if this pedal were to be like this? Every time. That's it. And then the ending is very brilliant. Bravo, you guys.